a second. Yes, we're currently streaming on live now. Thank you all.
Wanted to recognize Carol Fulco, who was a longtime employee of LOSFA and was an institution in the START program. Ms. Fulco trained Ms. Underwood, who also trained Ms. Harris, and we wanted to recognize and honor her service to LOSFA and her life. Ms. Fulco passed away recently. Now we'll welcome the new employee, starting Phil with Sturdy. Good morning, everyone. This is our new team member, Marcus Hill. He will be our new deposit specialist in START. His primary role is to handle all deposit payments. He is also be responsible for helping reconcile accounts. He will also assist cash receipts and receiving and posting payments as well. He has a background in business admin and from the illustrious Southern University. Okay, put that out there. Thank you. Prior to him coming to LOSFA, he worked at Eisner, Postal Way, and everything.
What's a the company?
Yes, but we are happy to have him. He is a great addition to the team, taking all of our laughter and love.
And as I understand it, was a very quick study, and on day one began to absorb information and come up with ways to streamline process. Absolutely.
Once again, good morning, everyone. I greatly appreciate the recognition that I received this morning. Once again, I'm happy to be here. I'm prepared to continue to run my networking and some more connections and be a contributor asset to the START program. So once again, thank you.
Everyone, as I invite you today, loving up again. Some of you I'm re-presenting, but reintroducing. Daniel is actually returned to the family. He was last year, I was a year ago, February 2024. At that time, was our one of our outreach coordinators, and now he's returned to us as a Daniel was very proficient in Spanish. He's a Spanish instructor at Liberty, as you can see in his bio, and he's bringing just that plethora of other skills. We're excited to have him here. His bilingual skills will definitely help us to reach much of a larger audience in the Spanish speaking community. And so we're excited to have him. Anything you'd like to share?
Just welcome, thank you back. I'm going to say welcome back, but thank you all for bringing me back. I'm excited for the work that I've been doing.
I'm delighted to see that you are the person who can testify that having a degree in humanities does allow you to work in other fields.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Humanities and art. Yes, yes.
Daniel set the standard of excellence
as an outreach coordinator. And when Daniel decided that he was going to do a different path, he's one of those, I don't know if I'll follow him to the elevator, maybe once in the elevator. You know, he's one of those employees that you say, hey, if you ever want to come back, you're going to find a way to bring you back to this team. So I was more than thrilled, as for the rest of us who had the privilege of working with Daniel, to see that he wanted to return. And that is also, I feel like, a testament to the LOSFA family, that someone leaves you and wants to come back to you volunteer.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, one thing, I'm going to stand here, but to piggyback off Daniel, I had a feeling Daniel was coming back in here, Asian shirts, and when he came back. But we would also like to welcome Maisha Sanders. Maisha is supervised by Danielle DeShields, who is over our intake and assistance officers. And so also, fun fact, Maisha, you may not realize that you met Kylie at a, when she saw the picture, she was like, I think I know her. I think I talked to her. So she was a fleet manager at BREC, which is how she interfaced with some of our team members at an event at BREC. So she's going to be joining our team of intake and assistance officers. And of course, we know that they have a daunting task of kind of handling all of our incoming communications, outgoing communications, and working kind of from a intake aspect for our comprehensive advising officers. So please welcome Maisha to the team. Any words?
Thank you all for having me. This is by far the most fighting and breaking come together at the work. I'm the Director of Procurement and Admin Services here, and I primarily have 3 subdivisions, which include procurement, cash receipts, and admin services. We would like to welcome our newest employee, our fiscal administrative specialist, Tisha Mitchell. Tisha will be handling technical tasks and cash receipts, also collaborating with some research and START. She will be doing balances, budget balances, as well as approving procurement vouchers and non-stops. Tisha has been with LOSFA before, way before my time. So she brings some experience back, and it's kind of easy to transition because she worked in START under Terry Underwood. So the transition is somewhat easy for her, but Tisha, so you'd like to say.
Welcome back home.
I'm glad to be back. This is family. I am welcome. I am very good. I am so happy to be back. And in addition to it, I'm happy to utilize the skills and all the knowledge that I have to bring us when we going forward. So, yes.
And I would like to introduce the rest of the staff. Cash receipt and
The next slide. You got a slide, so you might as well.
Yes, I might as well just stay.
starting with someone that I will hate to lose, who will be retiring way too soon, but early enough to enjoy the rest of his life. Mr. John, I really appreciate you so much for everything. And Alicia handles cash receipts, doing start deposits, she's doing mail, she's looking at inventory, she's doing just a variety of everything. But we appreciate you, and it's Alicia James, she's administrative coordinator. Juliana Smith, Juliana came back to us, she worked in HR, so now she's serving as procurement program specialist. And she's procuring, making sure that we're getting the best prices and utilizing the state's funding.
Well, if you can, thank you, Juliana, for everything that you've done. And Brooke, Will work in cash receipts, and now Wilford is a program administrator, and he is running the P-card program, also working with safety. So when we have our quarterly safety meeting, Wilford has put that time in researching to make sure of that. And that is procurement and admin.
Yes, and I was gonna, thank you. But as many of you know, or Brett Hunt got another job. He didn't retire. He went to a different profession. And so in addition to that, the Board of Regents Administration decided that they would assume LOSFA's fiscal division, which left us without a fiscal division. With a budget this large and operations this complex, we had to pivot to be able to make sure that things that get you on the front page of the paper in a bad way are, you know, your inventory. We're following the procurement rule, and we have a lot of travel, a lot of procurement, a lot of all of these things that are administrative. So we were allowed to maintain employees for those services, and of course, cash receipts. If you've got a $1.7 million program, you are going to be having a lot of money received, and that money has to be cataloged in and deposited and sent to Treasury in a timely manner, like 11 o'clock. That morning. So we decided that we would create this division. We elevated Hollis Baker Graves as the new division director. And again, we are very fortunate. And I think that you're seeing a trend that if we have Ms. Mitchell returning to LOSFA, Ms. Smith returning to LOSFA, Mr. Lovely returning to LOSFA, that is a testament for the work environment that the individuals in this room, upstairs or remote today, work together to be able to fulfill. So that's how that evolved.
Is it a testament to your recruiting skills?
Well, we can say that. Yeah, I'd say that.
Congratulations.
And on a sad note, right, we are losing, well, not losing, we are we are losing. We are losing Miss Malvo, who is going on to bigger and brighter things, which will still allow her to work with her LOSFA family. And you know, this is bittersweet for us. We are extremely excited for her because but we're sad for LOSFA. And that Miss Malvo and I, through conversations, not even written on a paper napkin, I don't even think we got a chance to do that, developed and brought to birth the Student Engagement Division, which came from Ms. Malvo and 2 part-time employees we had to borrow from another division to help her to now a total of 10 direct reports with the data and the effectiveness information showing how they're impacting students. So Ms. Malvo, we wish you all the best. They want to recognize you for the amazing job.
As it says 5 years after you. But that's not the full extent of my state service. I've had the pleasure of working in various state capacities about 27 years. But I must say this one has been so bittersweet, and it's been a passion. And where I truly find about my true calling in regards to serving Louisiana and her residents, that of our students. One of the universities that we frequent often, and I cheered at their commencement. The salvation of the state is the education of our youth. So I applaud you all that's it here, and we'll continue to invest, and as I'm going to say, as I share with my team, this is not the ending. Was so sad when she broke the news to her yesterday. She cooked a bunch of pies for her to bring today. So in addition to the blueberry cobblers you're having today for dessert, we're gonna have pies, and we also have cake for Miss Malvo for her retirement. So y'all are very deserving of today.
Ms. Mello, are you going, or she's moving on, or she's retiring? Thinking, what are you?
It's hard to stay employed.
Okay, but you're continuing to work someplace else.
Yes.
Don't. Like Joe over here, I just asked Joe, excuse me, Mr. Salter. If he, Joe wasn't fun, if he's still working for the Secretary of State, because I knew Joe way back. Oh, he said, well, yeah, no, he retired in January. He quit. But he continues to go on from job to job, assignment, responsibility, whatever. So I was thinking,
He had a little small position in the legislature, what you like speaker of the House?
yeah, but I think I knew Mr. Speaker before Mr. Speaker became Mr. Speaker.
We did too. We got away with that. So marriage.
Oh, dating yourself now.
Oh, we're pretty close in age, so. Well, congratulations, but I hope you remember that you can go on to do other things besides work.
Thank you. So we're moving on to the approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the previous minutes? If there are no corrections, can I get a motion to approve?
So, second.
Minutes have been approved. Public comment. Brian, are you aware of any public comment? Robin just walked out. I don't think we received any.
No, there are not any comments.
Oh, Ronald Davis.
Morning again, everyone. These are our start figures as of December 31st, 2024. For active accounts, we have over 80,000, and we were able to pull in 1.6 million. No,
Billion, baby.
billion. As of 12/31/2024, and of course, that was all help to Mr. John and procurement. If I'm not mistaken, in one day, Mr. John processed 1 million in disbursements, well, in deposits in one day. Couldn't have done it without Mr. John and the procurement team, so thank you all for that. For K-12 accounts, we have a little over 4,000, and the ending balance is a little over 35 million there. LA Able, a little over 1,400 accounts, and we are currently at a balance of 9 million there for our December balances. Again, couldn't have done it without our disbursement team, start staff, procurement, IT. Just thankful, because this is definitely an increase from our numbers as of last year. Well, 23, so great.
And even Jenny with staff engagement. I remember when they called me, they were here, Jenny asked me if she could use my parking spot, and it's like 5:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, Jenny, are you talking about Monday? No, I'm talking about now. I need it because we are taking envelopes to the post office. Everybody pitched in. Juliana came over, Jenny came over to be able to get things out when there was a glitch in the system. And actually, they were making hand mail runs to make sure that disbursements got out to students. And so again, hats off to everybody that participated in that team effort.
Morning. Filling in for Shane as well. And so, of course, covering our events and outreach for this month or as of 1/14, we had 541 total events. And then for virtual office hours, since July 1 of last year, we have a total of 141. I would like to call attention to MJ Foster. You can kind of tell the trends that are happening just kind of by looking at the topics of outreach. And so you'll also notice that behind MJ Foster is Tom's retention, because of course it's time for them to return to school. If you see initial eligibility is at 13, over the summer that'll flip and that'll become one of the ones that have the most sessions. Okay. So we took advantage of the holiday break while our students were out of school to do a FAFSA-thon. And so basically, several team members, we got on Zoom, hung out for several hours, and we shared this information on social media and with our high school counselors. And they had the opportunity just to kind of hop on at any point in time, and we were able to assist them and put them in breakout rooms with whichever team member was on. But we had a good response to this, and they were able to just hop on, you know, not much as far as they could register right before, but they were able to get that hands-on assistance. I was able to interview with GMMB, the communications and advertising firm that's based in Washington, D.C. And so what they were wanting was to basically pick Louisiana's brain on some of our FAFSA efforts and how to increase engagement. This particular firm was working with the Gates Foundation and Washington Student Achievement Council because they are trying to increase use of the Washington College grants. So they wanted to have a discussion about some of the ways that Louisiana was engaging their students in FAFSA completion. We had two representatives, April Bergens and Alicia Armand, that went to the Raymond Ford Correctional Center, and they were able to speak with over 60 incarcerated individuals to provide updates on federal aid eligibility. They also talked about some of the programs that we administer, institutional and private aid, and the availability of wraparound support through our comprehensive advising officer. So as usual, this is usually a crowd that's just eager to learn about the services that we can provide. We also have been participating, Kylie and I, who is in the back of the room, but we have been participating in FAFSA office hours with the U.S. Department of Education. So we meet weekly, and this is a little bit different. We discovered that the way that they track FAFSA completions, they're able to track FSAID creation. So we were kind of had a mind-blowing moment with that, but it gives us the opportunity to kind of meet with different leaders from across the country and kind of see what they're seeing in their state and kind of share updates on what we find have been, working for us. April was also a panelist for the NCAN webinar supporting justice impacted students. And so April is one of our team, our outreach leads that does a lot of work with justice impacted individuals. So during this particular webinar, NCAN also rolled out their resource center, where they have a lot of resources to support at whatever level you're at, working with those justice impacted communities. And so it was moderated by Patrick Rodriguez, and one of the neat things about that is that we did have the opportunity to meet with him while we were at the NCAN conference in Anaheim. More FAFSA stuff. We are also involved with SHIO in their FAFSA learning community. It is actually myself, Kylie, April, and in their absence, Brad Myers and Christy Lawson. And they were very appreciative of the fact when we were talking about, the efforts in Louisiana, they said, they were like, we don't have, I don't know if we have any other states that have a high school counselor on the FAFSA team. So they were very interested in what Christy had to say and very interested in what Brad had to say in regards to some of the impacts that we're seeing with the better FAFSA and Pell eligible students. So that was a very insightful. For the FAFSA Week of Action, we again held another virtual event, a series of virtual completion events. And in addition to doing more virtual events for the FAFSA, we also sent out communications to our post-secondary institutions. What the U.S. Department of Education is doing, this is in those check-in meetings that we're having with those team leads, that they are actually working on code cases
for those students who are still having outstanding issues from the previous FAFSA cycle. So we did encourage post-secondary institutions, but they had any students that were kind of hung up somewhere in the cycle, to bring that information to us, and we would relay it to the U.S. Department of Education. We also created a Facebook group for FAFSA assistance, and this is geared directly towards those students and parents in Louisiana, and we launched this during FAFSA Week of Action, so it's basically just another layer for us to engage parents in a space where they already are, which is on social media. And April also worked with several other team members to host the Beyond LOSFA webinar. This probably sounds familiar because it's one that we've done in the past. And this was for both eligible and ineligible MJ Foster Promise applicants. But of course, this is to help them identify extra sources of aid, which Lavonia, if you've ever heard her talk about some of the requests that she gets for those comprehensive advising officers. Identifying additional sources, where can I get more funding, is at the top of the list. So it was just a very well-run event from start to finish. They have polls and activities to engage the attendees. And then they also have like wrap up afterwards, where they can see comprehensive advising services. The reporting is sent out, other resources are sent out so that they have ongoing access to us as we continue to try to help them close those gaps. And here is our social media update with 27,884 total impressions. Our reach is 81,112 and total engagement of 1,252. These are 3 of our top posts. Of course, the one with what aid can I possibly qualify for with the FAFSA, just to kind of educate the public that no, it's not just loans that you get when you are completing a FAFSA. The TOPS notice, we usually send this out somewhere, around December, January, just to let them know you can use the Student Hub to check your top status for the spring, which is usually when we have that influx of communication. That's what those questions are from our returning college students. And then also the launch of the application cycle for the John R. Justice Student Loan Program. And these are our followers on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Of course, Facebook continues to be in the lead for that. And for our website update, you'll see that for our website traffic, the majority of it is organically, has organic origins. And then top page traffic is going to be TOPS, which is in a very close race with Student Hub, followed by Scholarship and Grants and MJ Foster. And for the top referrals, it's about an even split between Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And any questions?
Just like to recognize the work that Ms. Holmes has done and Ms. Baroga, as well as Ms. Bergens, because they are rising shining stars on the national level. They are considered to be thought leaders at the national level. Anytime there is a FAFSA convening of state thought leaders, you can guarantee that one of the 2 of them or both are going to be included in that conversation. And that is, that's a testament to the hard work that they've done. Yes, thank you, excuse me. Good morning. Last outro here. Again, Lavonia Malvo presenting on behalf of the Student Engagement Division. Next slide, please. I want to start off by just kind of giving a compilation of 2024 calendar year activity. No, we did not have 431 cases all of 2024. Those were by year end, how many active comprehensive advising cases were open. If you go to the next slide, we wanted to kind of capture the activity. Again, Salesforce is our platform that we use to track, document, and report the work of our comprehensive advising officers. So as you can see, by year end, we had close to 1,900 cases that we had served in the calendar year of 2024 through comprehensive advising or outreach coordinators may have a service some, but these were the referrals that we received in this calendar year there. Next slide, please. Our comprehensive advising officers not only do they deal one-to-one with students, but they are very much involved with the outreach of LOSFA. In fact, our outreach activities are what also drives students for referral to comprehensive advising. So the next few slides, just want to highlight some of the work that our CAOs continue to do. For the month, this one represents Darius Warnock on a Saturday, attended the Southern University A&M yesterday, and hosted something with your Upward Bound program. We were again feeding off the fact that we're still FAFSA had just launched in the latter part of the year, and we're getting a lot of referrals and invites to events. So this is just capturing what transpired on that particular day. Next slide, please. As we talk about the student network, we share, Dr. Bute shared about the work that we've done in growing it. This slide reflects our activities for the calendar year. Most of our activities are tracked on an academic year, but I figured since we're starting a new year, let's look at what we did from January through December. Our network groups again meet once a month. Where we now have launched, we'll be launching a new one, we launched it Monday night, multidisciplinary group, but we had specific groups for specific disciplines. And I'm going into a little bit more detail for those of our newer advisory board members who might not be familiar with the work of the network groups. So this slide just shows that we are connecting students, peers to each other from different majors. We're connecting them to resources, we're connecting them to employment opportunities from 25 schools throughout the state of Louisiana in the calendar year that have been interfacing with our network groups, which are designed to be smaller in nature because of the intimate setting and wanting to again create safe spaces for students to connect with each other there. So you see kind of a spread of those schools that have been actively participating. Again, 2-year, 4-year, proprietary, public, whatever they may be, it's a bit mixed up them. Next slide, please. During our November meeting, which was our last meeting for the fall semester, we awarded yet another nursing student network scholarship compliments sponsored by one of our employer partnerships. LHC Group, they are again showing their commitment to it, whereby students by attending, participating, engaging in our groups, they have eligibility or eligible for a join at the end of our semester. So this semester was very interesting in that each meeting I kept noticing this individual's name coming up. And on the night that we were going to announce the award, this person was the first one in the Zoom before we started letting students in. But anyway, just to show the reach of our groups, you would think, okay, we're challenged enough with college students trying to prioritize their time, coming in, asking to Zoom with us after hours, after their full work day, extracurriculars. High school students, home, no one at home, really to hold them accountable to see they're going to show up. But we're having adult learners that are seeing the value of our network groups that are coming in. Last night we had MJ Foster the Connect meeting, and you're going to hear a little bit about that a little later, whereby they had one student joining in her, I think it was Temperature, what was the restaurant? I don't understand. Waffle House, while there and Zooming. So our recipient, Ms. Sharon Smith, again, as you can see her bio quickly, she sent and provided that acceptance statement there, just to acknowledge her appreciation, not only for the scholarship, not only for the student, but also for, she's a MJ Foster Promise Award as well. And so it was just very moving and touching to have her participate. She shared a bit about her challenges and what she struggled there with. Next slide, please. So we've already launched our 2025 semester calendar. Kickoff, as I shared, was Monday night. Rather than having groups designed to those 7 groups that you see on the list on the left, nursing, accounting, engineering, information technology, education, post-secondary transitions for our high school students. Again, we have multidisciplinary student network group to encompass anyone who now wants to participate or come in regardless of their discipline. And so the concept, they come in, they are receiving resources, they're hearing from employers. Monday nights was featuring about, investment savings and just kind of just jump-starting the semester with the tools that they need to succeed. We had phenomenal response on our student networking evaluations. Many of them, were just kind of acclimated to the one speaker and didn't break out, but we had two speakers that were so phenomenal that our students was like, I love the format, coming back for more. So it just speaks to the reach, to the success and effectiveness of it, despite the attendance, what have you. We had, I think on Monday night, Chanel, just correct me, I think we had like 45 participants there. We don't want the group too large because students didn't become stifled in how they're communicating and what have you. But nonetheless, this is a continuum of care, so to speak, from our individual one-on-one advising that we're doing, my comprehensive advising, onto our smaller group advising concept. Next slide. Here is an annual report from 2-on-1. 2-on-1 has become a tool that our comprehensive advisors use to connect and reach out to students and find services within their area, but also students can access students, not just students, the public themselves. So United Way of Louisiana that manages the 2-on-1, they provide us quarterly reports. This is our annual report. So you see for 2024, the reach that was there is evident. The searches that was given and provided, the number of clicks. LOSFA is the only licensed, I guess, agent who can say of this platform that has a public facing search engine. And so because of that, they're able to generate this data for us to see who is from our web page connected. So just want to highlight that. Next slide, because we have multiple things to share with you about the 2-on-1 report. You may say, hey, LOSFA is educationally focused. Why is healthcare the #1 click there? We're seeing where the needs are. So as we look at venture providing wraparound support, our students are needing basic needs met, right? So they go onto the 2-on-1 platform to find out how can they access if they're needing clothing, shelter, transportation, additional food, whatever, your mental health counseling. Next slide, I want to point out something here. Again, still with this iteration of it, you're seeing how the click shown here, subcategories by the guided search at the top again, medical care. And then the health, and you say veterans, but your student population is what, 18 to 24, older students, returning students, other adult learners that are utilizing this platform. Next slide. And again, this is just a little SWOT of where people are clicking from geographically. And as you see the Louisiana group, you see some of the searches occurring outside Mississippi and Jacksonville in those areas as well. So again, our LOSFA's investment in this 2-on-1 platform is definitely being very heavily utilized. At this, let's also acknowledge some of the work that our CAOs are doing as a result of the work when they're in the field. Ms. LaConda Scott received an award from Southern University. She was counted among the 40 under 40 award, where she was recognized at the 2024 Body Classic. And this came at the recommendation and reference of someone that saw her while last one, because she's out there. And all the other facets involvements that she is involved in there. So I want to definitely commend her for that representation. But also she and Delegation of Interest, about a year ago, were invited to do some community improvement projects with a local school. And we're trying to say, okay, where's the college access? Well, they utilized that outreach to build a relationship and partnership with an alternative school, through which in all of the services, no one was attending those students post-secondary needs beyond that educational experience. Hence, from that day of planting shrubs, so you see there, they were invited back for the ribbon cutting of the corridor that's now at the school. They are now continuing to build that relationship and are providing college access material to those population of students there. So I definitely want to acknowledge them and commend them for the work that they've done with that particular school. And as we close out, again, you heard us make reference to the staff engagement, employee engagement that we've been doing consistently here. Again, kudos to Jenny and our plethora of committees that put on various activities so that when employees come in, they can say this is the warmest welcoming community of working environment they've ever been in, this is why. So again, just want to thank, again, the staff at the salon to make our office as welcoming and engaging internally. Thank you. Thank you. Only failed to mention that scholarships and grant won that contest. I guess I didn't expect it. She did not run that. I'm going to report to you on some of the scholarship and grant programs. Our Louisiana Gold Grant had $70.4 million allocation for the 24-25 school year. Schools will begin billing for their spring portion after the 14th class day. That has been pushed back somewhat because of the great winter snowstorm we had last week, mostly in South Louisiana. So that's been rolled back to some schools like as early as February 3rd or 4th. So we'll get that. So we're almost at the halfway point. So we have 36 million remaining. We don't award the Gold Grant during the summer. So what happens is after our March 24th deadline, the schools have not utilized their full allocation. We do sweep those funds and award it to schools who have met the deadline and requested additional funds. So that has allowed us to use the full allocation without going to the summer session. Our John R. Justice program, which is a federally funded program for attorneys who work as the prosecutors or public defenders. And because public defenders normally make less than prosecutors, the award for our public defenders is double that of the prosecutor award. So we have 10 awards that we give out to our prosecutors, and as of this time, we've awarded 5 of those, $25,000. When our public defenders get $10,000, we awarded 1. We're still, the way the application cycle works for John R. Justice, we have a 2-year period to disperse the funds. So right now we're doing applications between January 1st and April 30th for 25 years. And that amount, we already have about 20 applications on file. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer because the public defenders especially, they work a lot of hours and the pay and time, but we're making those awards for those attorneys who work as public servants, and they're required to serve 3 years in their position as a public defender or a prosecutor for each year of funding. So we have a couple of attorneys that will be featured in our Pelican brief for February who have been in the program for a number of years. They can get up to $50,000, and they're saying how helpful it's been because most of them come into public service with debts in excess of $50,000, some of them over $100,000. So this program allows them to reduce their student loan indebtedness while they work serving the public. Our MJ Foster Promise update. Since the application opening from June this past year, we had almost 15,000 applications. I'm going to talk a little bit about the funding. We were able to receive $7.5 million in additional funding, which first we will be paying the backlog from November and December, and then move to paying bills that payment requests that came to us in December and January. Once that has been done, we're going to move into the spring semester, and schools can bill after the 14th class day. So that's where we stand with the MJ Foster funding. Our other program is the Golden Challenge program, and this is a program where students who were part of the National Guard, a youth challenge program, which there are 3 sites, one's in Carville, one in the Pineville area, and one in the Shreveport area, where youth between the ages of 15 and 18 go to this boot camp type program. And some of them will finish their high school credits there, some will do credit course recovery. But once they graduate from Golden Challenge, they're eligible for assistance for up to 2 years in a major that provides a job with a 3, 4, or 5 star. So we do provide their tuition amounts. We had this year, we've got additional funding, because the money that was initially allocated for the program ran out a year ago. So they were able to secure additional funding, so now we're starting to award more students because we do have funding available for that program. Any questions?
MJ Foster, I know previously, the previous award year, there was a shortfall as well. Is there?
There's a shortfall. There will be a
And
shortfall.
that's the,
But we can't go back, you're asking about 23-24?
yes,
No, we can't,
No, we cannot.
we cannot pay for 23-24. The way the money was allocated, that's to be used for 24-25.
And there will be a shortfall for 24-25. Because of the 7.5 additional, we were already, I think, around 1.7 million in the hole through November, December 30th, right? So you're out of money this year in the fall, right? Last year we ran out of money in March. This year we ran out of money in November. So we talked to you before about the fact that revenue estimating had to go back and recognize that money that wasn't used in year one, right? For use in 2024-25. Then after that hurdle was cleared, JLCB, Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget, has to say, they can recognize it, but I have to give you permission to spend it, and they did. So once that's loaded into the budget, so you're starting with what you think is 7.5, which is great, we appreciate that. But know that you've got to take 1.7 out of the 7.5 to clear fall, and then start spring. So if you spent $9 million in fall through, basically, you already know that 5.3 isn't going to carry you through spring. So what that means is if you know you're in a shortfall, that's important because it influences the way you package. In other words, you cannot enroll students who are brand new to the program who have not been enrolled. All you can do is take those students who were continually enrolled from fall, or they got an exception from fall, they were enrolled last year, they're enrolling in the same zip code. You can fund those individuals. When you finish funding those individuals, if there's anything left, then you can accept new applicants. The Board of Regents informs us that they have asked for 20 million, I believe, in the upcoming budget for the legislative session. What LOSFA's role is to do is to continue to document it. We have documentation, we have weekly reports that, thanks to our RBI unit and our SG unit, as those buildings come in, and our graphics unit, they're automatically fed into a report that goes to House staffers, Senate staffers, fiscal staffers, as well as to the Board of Regents to say, here is where we are. Here is the age distribution of who's getting the money, and here's the programmatic distribution of where the money is being spent. So legislators have that information available to them, updated weekly, so that, and we've now added a kind of a comparison between this is where we were funding last year to this is where we are funded this year. That is LOSFA's approach, which is data centric, which is you're not going to be able to step up and ask someone for more money if you can't justify why you need that. And what our ask is now, and I understand that the Workforce Commission has ruled and said that they're also going to look at that because we feel like that's a valid question. Okay, so you spent $9 million, right? How many of those individuals are employed? And what are the wages that they are making now that they are employed? So for example, if I spent money on you to go to school and you are employed, but your wage is still $13 an hour, right? Look at any fast food or retail sign that you see. If I'm going to make the same thing I could make without going to school, then as an adult, I'm more than likely going to take a pause as to whether I want to do this or not, right? And that all rolls into the whole value proposition of college, which we are all, working with data to say, if you do this, these are the likely outcomes. So we really do feel like that's a frontier LOSFA's been asking for since inception. Why do we not have it? Because LOSFA does not get that data. So we are pleased, or we were pleased when we heard that the Workforce Commission is interested and is going to start looking.
These kinds of situations affect the financial aid people on the campuses that are handling to foster and other things. They ever say, I don't realize Amy's not here, but. Yeah. How does that work?
We don't have it.
She's never been
Yes.
Not only you.
And then, that's what it says, LCTCS.
Yes, okay. What do you say to students?
So, after the initial shortfall, we took, I can't remember who I was having a conversation with, but we have the students sign a document that states that there is a possibility that the fund. And so if the fund does run out, we go through other options as far as further education goes. It's literally just an open communication. I know this year it was more rapid than the last time because the fund did run out rapidly, but it's that documentation letting them know if we are backing you with these funds, but there's a possibility that you won't be able to get the full dollar. If that fund does run out.
Right, because you're proprietary, do you have to handle it differently as a public entity? Can you say, we'll look for other funds, do you ever find other funds?
That's what the LCTCS goes through as well. I mean, we have a document and everything like that, but if a student may be awarded a, the MJ Foster program may not be eligible or may not have the funds when it comes down to it. But the schools on a local level are really good about trying to find other funds, other grants, other things like that, that could possibly fill the gap with that shortfall. I almost feel like sometimes the foster program is kind of like a little lanyard, and they're just happy to get that lanyard. Sometimes the lanyard doesn't come through, so schools do a little magic and find opportunities for the students. I just think it's a newer program and it's really starting to hit its stride now.
Yes, you have to look at their different various scenarios because some programs may be shorter in length and don't qualify for, say, federal aid, but don't qualify for MJ Foster. But some schools have foundation accounts or other scholarships. So you have to look at almost each student individually and is their program Pell eligible or not Pell eligible. Pell eligible, you go this route, not Pell, and you go that route. And then look at other sources of aid. School may have SCOG funds that can supplement where maybe MJ Foster didn't pay for that student, or even, like I say, foundation or some university scholarships. And then I'm sure that schools, as a last resort, may have to be an option out for loans if they can't meet their costs with what's available on each particular campus.
It sounds like the legislature needs to do some work.
Well, and we also appreciate the schools for the work that they do because this means that we ask the schools to bill us for, even if there's a shortfall, we say, send us the bill for the students that you have, right? Those students that are funding, your funding is contingent upon the appropriations and the availability of that money. And they will fund us in like funding shortfall. They'll use a code for that. What that means that allows LOSFA to do is when you get to the legislature, when the session starts, you're not picking out numbers out of the sky saying what you need. You can say, these were our expenditure patterns in this year, year 2. These are the expenditure patterns in year 3, which is why that document is evolving. Then you can say, right now, I'm out of money and the schools have submitted this amount of billings for funding shortfall. Then it becomes simple math to go, well, okay, if I gave you 10 here and then 7.5, right? And that's 17.5. And now you tell me that after you pay that, you have 5 million more in funding shortfall bills, then that is something that is a quantifiable number. It's a bona fide billing. They shouldn't submit bogus billings to say, yes, that 20, is that 20 million an amount that would be sufficient at this current pattern, or is it not? Because that, with the legislature looking for ways to be efficient in cutting costs, they're gonna ask, that's a fair question, to be able to say how much do you need? And so that is the type of cooperation we get from the schools, that helps us to help them and the students.
This is for the third year.
You see the age went down one, so that could also allow for more students to be eligible and applying for the program.
It's me. And we have that graph, and that is why, so that when legislators say, well, was it because we dropped the age to 20? No, it was not. Here's your quantified, and it's in a graph where you can see, it's still your older adults that are returning. And I think it goes all the way up to an 80-year-old on the graph that shows the wide rate, age range. So again, this coming year, next year, it's gonna drop down to the 19, right? And so then you can begin to see, are your 17, 18, 19 or 18, 19-year-olds banging down the door for this funding? Right now, according to the data, it's not the 20-year-old. That's not the cause of your overage. And we're able to say that factually with the data to back it up, not an opinion, because it doesn't need to be an opinion, right? And so then legislators can make that decision to go, well, what did impact it? And so that's why we have which areas they went into, how much money in that particular area. Because then if a group wants to say, well, if I've got to scale back, I want to look at which areas I'm going to limit the funding to, right? And you could also look at those job results and then look at your usage and triangulate that data. So that's what our job has been, to just continue to provide solid data.
Those kinds of requests to scale back, that's the workforce commission.
It could be the workforce commission, it could be the legislature not giving us the amount of money that is needed, and that would start with workforce commission, who convenes the MJ Foster Council in cooperation with the Board of Regents.
So the workforce commission of the Board of Regents are empowered to make decisions if you have to say we're gonna
What's
scale.
eligible programs, they run it.
But it's not the legislature.
But the legislature isn't tasked with saying which programs are eligible. I will be Brett on the top center date. You go forward. Okay, so far this year, we're seeing, we've seen some significant decreases here. But if you look at FY24 at this time at 148 million and FY25 at this time at 149 million, you're seeing that gap is just only 1.3, which is 0.2%. So this is a good thing. It's showing an increase in the usage of TOPS. We also, through the data, again, thank you to RBI in conjunction with IT, which allows us to give you this solid data that says these are the systems that we've seen increases from: LCTC, SUL, and Southern. We're seeing Southern billing earlier this year compared to last year. All of that affects the usage data that we have. So what we can conclude from this is if we have a 0.2% difference, then the allocation is sufficient to fully fund TOPS through this year, and it will include summer TOPS, because we have to, once we make that determination, that application has to be opened up on the website for students to even apply for summer TOPS. So the earlier we can do that when it gets to spring, the better it is for financial aid offices working with students who qualify for summer TOPS. So again, TOPS is also one that has a statement that says, this award is contingent upon appropriations, because this number becomes important if that was topsy-turvy as to whether you would have a shortfall and then end up in pro rata. That is not the case. Right. The spotlight, we're just going to do that very quickly because we know that you have a time crunch. It was sent to you, the 2024 year in reflections. You have a copy of that, that was electronically sent to you. If there's anybody in the audience, like Mr. Renee, if you want a copy of that, Rhonda will email that to you. If one of you did not receive that copy, she will do that. But what this does is we put this together to be able to give an overall reflection, and our graphic design team is second to none. When I saw the cover, I'm like, I love it, and I haven't even turned the first page because it's dynamic and it just gives that flow and that energy that that LOSFA prides itself on. But this is where you're going to find all of our year-end statistics, what we've done, you know, the types of events, and we kind of categorize them according to those pillars of LOSFA services. Our research shows us that the most effective services that we can provide are the comprehensive advising and the mentoring, the wraparound services, and any type of linkage of when I use a post-secondary option, which post-secondary options connect me to related careers and employment. If I have to say which one is the one that we've got to continue to work and build, it is that middle one with experiential learning, internships, job shadowing, like the platinum partnership we have with LHC Group, which really allows students to be able to interface, get 360 looks inside of a business to say, LHC Group is basically known for their work in home healthcare, right? But they still need accountants, they still need people in IT, still need people administrative, and they actually have now graduated in that partnership to doing tours quarterly with high school students, as well as with secondary ambassadors. So that is our area, our goal to continue to shore up, because that's a true advising comprehensive service for students when we can connect them to realistic jobs in this state and realistic paths at the end of their post-secondary journey. Emily, did you want to add anything to that?
I think you did a beautiful job of recapping what is in here. I would say there's some redundancy there, the apprenticeship expo, where we had well over 1,000 attendees.
Yes.
A lot of things that we've done without just impacted individuals, and just a lot of the work highlighting work that our outreach coordinators, our comprehensive advising officers do. It's, you know, we live it every day, but to see it kind of, and this is a condensed version. There's no way to fit everything that we do in here, but I think it gives a really good highlight of the work that we do.
And this goes out and is distributed to stakeholders, to our education, House and Senate education staffers. Again, being transparent and being, our philosophy is if someone has to ask you for your data, you should probably go ahead and do it. Right, because you should be able to, if you're spending public dollars, you should be able to answer upfront to a policymaker that's appropriated that for you, where that money is going and what results you have. And if you're able to answer those things proactively, right, the best, you know, offense is a good defense. If you go ahead and get yourself that way, and so that you don't have to get on your heels with justifying why do we give you this money, then we want to consistently do that and consistently tell the story of the hard work that everyone on this team does. Thank you, Ebony. And thank you, Rhonda and Cass, for getting those slides to us. That makes sense.
So we'll now move to old business. Next slide, please. This is final rulemaking for exceptional circumstances based on financial conditions. You may remember we brought this to you in 2024 to broaden that. At the time, the rules allowed for an exception based on a family's financial circumstances, and this will allow consideration of requests based solely on the student's financial circumstances. We saw a lot of students whose parents were not in the picture anymore for whatever reason, and we saw the need to increase that. At Bradley's request, we did add that when they are requesting it based on their circumstances, they must provide a plan of how they intend to prevent it from happening again in the future. So this was published, and we are just asking for your recommendation to publish the file.
Yes, but was it not, you have to lean over this phone and all.
I was just indicating that something else maybe needed to stop.
All business has to improve.
Next slide. So this is a one home study exception that we received. The summary was in your packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, we stay. The advisory board recommend approval.
I'll motion to approve. And I'll second.
And this is your final item. This is the regular types of exceptions for exceptional circumstances. There are 10 this month. I will be happy to answer questions.
So yes. About the trend in snow days,
Yes. So during the snow days last week, apparently instead of playing in the snow or cleaning their houses like I did, students were getting documentation and sending request after request after request after request for exceptions.
Like they came back and I mean, the LOSFA dot stop exception email, like
it was just full. And, you know, a lot of that is because students are starting classes again, and January and February normally is a fairly busy time because a lot of students are requesting exceptional educational opportunities. That is co-ops, or they go and do an internship somewhere, or they have some sort of other educational opportunity. We had a student who was invited by one of the state representatives to Congress to come and work on his team. That was approved as an exceptional educational opportunity, as the student was a politics major. So those sort of things, that is what happens, but this one, it's been a huge uptick. You will not see all of those. Those are objective, provide the documentation that's required, and it's these are the ones, is, as Dr. Butte likes to say, what it happened. Yes.
I have two questions, and this is mainly for my personal information. When I'm reading about one of them, Randy, is it's so theoretically it's possible to be a resident assistant on a campus and not be involved in any classes and resign from all your classes. That just surprised me because
he resigned and was no longer a resident assistant.
Oh, okay, okay, that's okay. Thank you, that's good. Now, the second question, maybe you will all know this except me. What does this mean? This is for Andre. The courses in which the student enrolled did not publish to his account for him to enroll or attend class, but it was appearing on his other records of school.
That is a quote from the school. It was apparently on his schedule as far as the registrar and financial aid were concerned, but it wasn't on his schedule.
Like his Paul's account.
Okay.
You know, whatever the campus has an account, he couldn't see it.
He couldn't see it, so.
He could see it.
So it gives him a W for his class rather than an F.
because it wasn't his fault.
Because the schools made a mistake. Is he penalized at all for the W? I mean, this is just,
I don't know how,
I have no,
I don't recall what school this was, and I don't know how that school handles W's, but as you know, with federal financial aid, you have to be meeting that 75% in order to still qualify to receive financial aid. The student did not indicate in any way that was an issue for him, but for a student who has withdrawn the line, that could be an issue.
so the student gets this thing that says, these are your classes that you're enrolled in. That's what the college has. The student didn't know that he was enrolled in this class, or it wasn't published to.
According to the school, it wasn't published to the students yet.
So that he didn't know that he was actually enrolled or that he could attend.
Right.
But the college thought that he was attending, and
Which is why they billed for the class.
thank you, that's all I have to.
Yeah, that one was extremely confusing to me.
Well, I-
It's
I'm
not
glad-
much
A lot of it stuff.
I
was reading it, right, it is me.
The more that I do exceptions for students, the more I realize students can come up with some stuff. I mean, just, it's amazing.
But that statement you said came from the actual school, not the student.
Yeah, that has to.
We got a 110-page document for one student, exception, 110 pages.
None of which was helpful.
Yes, you reviewed it.
None of that was helpful at all, but you have some students who will send everything but the kitchen sink. And you have some students who will send you absolutely just the phone. They'll just send the phone. I need an exception. Why? Those are the students that Ambermont works with extensively.
Well, I think it also pointed to the fact that our student needed financial aid assistance.
Yes.
But otherwise, you wouldn't have submitted 110 pages.
Exactly.
And I think it's also a testament to them that they want to apply for the exception. Like, I want to continue my education, I just need that additional payments. That's why I always, because they need it. Help them.
They're also disclosing some very personal information to people that they don't know. That's another testament to how important it is to get to make sure that these programs continue.
And hats off to the staff,
Yes.
because if you've ever talked to Amber Mark, you would tell her your life story, because she would feel as though she cared. And that she would do the best that she could to be able to help you. So, Rhonda, same thing, Robin, same thing. And then does Kristen helps with exceptions as well?
Yes.
Yes, so it, again, if you have a staff that is giving off vibes of, personal responsibility, sounds like a personal problem, then no, students aren't going to take the time because they're very effective in spreading the word. So this is a good thing and a testament to them.
And these are really good and important, let's say, 3 or 4 years students out of school, for people to share their stories, to say, this is what someone did for me. They helped me get an exception because this happened and I graduated and I'm now doing this and I'm now doing this. People relate to stories. This is really important, not to let these kinds of things just pass out because you age out or whatever. These are really critical for people to understand how much this matters to the individual. So thank you.
That's why Ms. Lawson, I know she's not here today, but she'll approve these every single time, because when she was in college and somebody approved an exception for her. And she's now doing what she wanted to do. And
often we forget that it's a single person that you're trying to know. It's not a class of people who are trying to do things. These are, we have really, we've had one that stands in my mind, and that was a baseball player. But I can't remember every detail. No, it was bad. Well, it was a coach. I think he involved a coach in a baseball play. But that's the only one out of all the years that I've been on this, and look at heartrending things that I cannot begin to relate to what these students go through. Then they go through to take the time, they say, oh, what can I do? They have to write their exceptions. And it's amazing that they persevere. It is, and the staff is able to help them, and I'm delighted to be able to. I'll be glad to make a motion.
You think that after this length of time, that there would be nothing that would surprise you in terms of exception? But that's
Every
easy, right?
Every time. We thought the ants was our threshold. I think it's still the top case because you can't, sometimes you can't unsee things. And when we saw the pictures of those ants, we'd be like, I'm not going to stop. So I think that's my case. It's etched in. I can just see them on the shower wall. And they look like they were just big. So you're like, yep, go ahead. You made that up. That was way before AI could generate the ants.
And Lonnie, if you could get our first and second.
I don't think she got it.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to tell you, I did not have a first or a second.
And then I
Got
say,
my questions answered.
And so before we end the meeting, we just wanted to give you a timely update. I probably should have done that earlier. Many of you saw, as we did, you know, I think, what was it, Monday night at 10 o'clock? My phone started blowing up. I'm like, why is my and why do I have 5 text messages? Well, the pause on federal funding had come across. And this team of individuals was very busy discussing, what does this mean? What does that mean? Has anybody seen a text of it? So at 10:15, I'm reaching for my glasses to go, what are we talking about? And we're going, and then, you know, and then somebody else chimed in. We're going to have a very busy day on Tuesday because we're going to have lots of questions. And so most of our day yesterday was spent preparing for the transition with the student engagement employees, with Ms. Malvo's departure, and an equal amount of time was spent on getting ready to answer the questions for students. So by the end of the day yesterday, we had posts on social media, a post on our website. We had, I think, Rhonda, you're coming in with information from counselors saying, now people are saying that TOPS is affected. We're like, that's not a thing.
Like,
on social media
about people not getting their talk because of the federal
You know,
mandate.
but this is a testament to the dedication of the team. No one said that sounds like a federal problem. It was, well, it may sound like that, but if Cal is truly affected, give me that 14 class day list again. And if this institution hasn't distributed those Pell funds, then those students are not going to be getting go because technically they're not eligible. Now, what else isn't impacted? Because even if it had been work study and the like, that means your CAOs are getting ready to get a ton of requests for how am I going to fund this without my aid? So again, team rallied together. Shane is not here today, but did a phenomenal job of making sure that everything we were getting ready to post was indeed from a verified source where you could trace that link back. And by the time we had social media posts, website posts, and today the team followed up with a media advisory. Yes. That is going out today to say basically to the students. And on my way home yesterday, talking with Harold, he's like, hey, I got this parent that called me today and their kid called them, blowing up their phone when the kids saw the announcement. And he wants to know, does his daughter have her Pell because she's supposed to be getting her disbursement next week. The kids all think they're in danger. And, you know, taking that call on the way home to go, no, and then this is where you can tell her friends to go look because it's already up. So again, testament to the team. In short order, TOPS is not affected, that's a state program. GO is not affected, that's a state program. And it is not impacted because the later
clarification we saw said this does not include Pell. So, and it does not include loans. So we were able to do our part. Ebony has just gotten a request from a reporter. The minute that, media advisory went out, a reporter called to go, should you just go over the talking points with us on the air so that people can get the information. So again, testament to a very, very dedicated team, because you don't do that unless you're really, really concerned about the students that you serve.
What was the final disposition of that yesterday? Did the judge intervene?
Yes, sir. The judge temporarily paused it. My understanding is that is until February 3rd. And we have that information to say it's right after we posted it, right? And approved it. Then we were like, wait, no, it's official. I'm looking at CNN. The judge didn't pause it. That is not a fake. Then they quickly added that and said pause, but emphasis on it's a temporary pause. So our students were able to get the information. So that's where we are thus far.
And I'll email y'all the media advisory as soon as it's posted.
Okay. As if you needed that.
Oh, yeah. And when I signed off, before I was driving home, feeling like the kids were going crazy, which you knew it, but not a parent to call Harold and say, get your wife on the phone because my daughter needs some assurance that her money, what's happening to her money, and I need some assurance because how am I going to pay this now? This is a working favor, right? And so that just, all it does is it doesn't bother you, it affirms the importance of the work that we do, and that is the way this team takes that. And so speaking of stories, before I forget, in the student networking group meeting this Monday night, right? There were 45 attendees. The student engagement team comes together and helps to get the individuals that are going to be presenting. The presenters were so compelling. Out of 45, the team received 18 written comments from students talking about the positive impact of this session upon that they got from it. That is, in any kind of market research, that is phenomenal. That's, you're lucky. It's like, yeah, no, that's really, really a testament. And then what I also learned, now go to learn about what we're going to do in the organization in her absence, was that not only the secret sauce that they've learned through building the student networking groups, is that each of those students that you're having, and that was over 100 and some plus that are involved, that team has a member or members that follow up with those students between meetings. So that touch of there is an adult, to your point, that cares about you, recognizes you, wants to know what you're going through, and we are here for you, is the secret sauce to have students say, I'm looking back at that meeting. I mean, I got a lot out of this. I didn't expect to get all of this, but they also, those individuals, that is, as Ms. Malvo says, a safe space. So again, we've triaged, you've heard about our triage of services, simple phone call, IAOs. Let me check it out a little bit. Outreach coordinator. What had happened was CAO. Okay, but then we also decided that in building this, well, we have to triage the way we approach that, right? And that is one-on-one. You came in through 211, you came in through an event, and you need a comprehensive advising officer or a phone call or an email or a text message to help just you. They were like, okay, well, we're tasked with serving all y'all throughout the state. Okay, and then there's these small groups. That's your student networking groups. That's your second part in your triage. This is a small, intimate setting. It is not so big where you feel embarrassed about sharing insecurities or sharing your concerns or hearing other people that have the same insecurities and concerns and challenges that you do. And then there are the ones like our bellwether apprenticeship, where we had counselors getting the high school students engaged and logged on. We had returning adults logged on. We had the Department of Labor, U.S. Department of Labor. We had businesses that have apprenticeship opportunities. And we had individuals from the Workforce Commission talking about apprenticeship as a viable post-secondary option, countered with, how much do you make? If you choose this particular path, that went from, I think, 200 and some people last year to over 1,200 this year. So that's that third leg of triage. Well, how are you providing for large scale events? Because again, you're talking about 10 people in student engagement, and you're talking about probably less than 10 outreach coordinators. Think about how many Louisianians you're talking about where there isn't an age limit, or when you look at 211, a subject limit that LOSFA should say, that's not my business, why are you calling me? Right? It's like, let me just see if I can figure out government for you and get you the help that you need. So hats off to our team.
That would take, just listening to that, I really want to get close to your team. Because I think in the last two award years, from a student's perspective, it's been very difficult. Like we had the rollout of the new basket. Then on top of that, yesterday, the students thought that their funding was. So to be able to reach out and really have someone there makes all the difference.
And thank you all for what you do and the feedback that you give us, because we treasure it, we value it, and to the best of our ability.
You become, I mean, what you become also for the public in general is a trusted source of information, which is really a valuable commodity.
Yes.
So thank you.
Can I please have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. And just note, the next meeting's not till March 13th, and that is a Thursday. That was the only day we could do it, because of conflicts with other higher ed boards in Louisiana that month. So I just want y'all to know that it's a Thursday and not even. There's food back there, Rosie.